This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, very good. So it has been very much on my mind that many of you have been struggling with this recent shift in the real estate market. As we know, inflation is at what year high? How long has it been since we've had inflation at this rate? 40 years. Interest rates are at a 25-year high. We are in a seasonal reduction. The last couple of years have not been normal. We didn't see a slowdown in the fall, but historically, stuff slows down after the kids are back in school. All of that, combined with these other factors, has really created a slowdown. Transactions are down dramatically from where they were this time last year and the year before that. So there's just less business out there right now to be had. And since this is an extremely competitive industry anyway, when you have more people fighting over fewer pieces of the pie, it can be scary sometimes. So I wanted to talk with you for just, for maybe the next hour about a realtor reset, about resetting your mind and your feet, the way you think and the way you go, in a way that's going to set you up for success really in any market. And if any of y'all heard my Tina Turner speech, you know that stuff comes to me in the middle of the night. And that actually came in a dream. But what I want to share with you right now came to me while I was awake in the middle of the night, sleeping on the floor up in Wichita Falls. I woke up at 1 or 2 in the morning thinking about you and about this scenario, and these thoughts just flowed into my mind, and I wrote them down when I actually got up for the day in the real morning. But it's 7 steps basically to get you reset, reoriented, and back on a productive path. And so they're on the screen here. I'm going to read them to you. I'm so glad I posted them this morning since they apparently didn't save after that. Number 1, awaken your dreams and be very specific about them. That is really hard to do right now. People who are in survival mode are typically not thinking about the distant future and everything that I want to happen in my life and all the good things that I want to do and the blessing that I want to be to those who I love and the causes that I support. It's very difficult. But I want to say, let's push through it. In fact, if you are taking notes this morning electronically or graphically, I would encourage you to write this down. Write down each of these steps. Number 1, awaken your dreams, and then be very specific. So by that, what I mean is, I want you to pretend you're 7 years old again. When you dreamed about being Cinderella or whatever your dreams were, okay? Or hitting the home run in Game 7 of the World Series. What were the dreams that you had as a child that you were just certain you could accomplish in your life? Think about it now. If money was no object, if you were not subject to the restrictions that maybe you're under right now, what would you do? What could you do? If there were no limitations, what are the dreams that you would fulfill, the dreams that you would fund for yourself and others? What does that look like? And it could be as simple as, well, I want to be debt free, or I want to be financially independent. I don't want to have to worry about a downturn in the economy the next time it happens. I want to be set. I want to provide for my family at a high level. I want to send my kids to the best schools. I want to be able to take my grandkids on 7-week cruises around the Aegean Islands in the Mediterranean. Just think about, just kind of unleash it. What are some of these things that you would do if money was no object? Some of you all know I have a passion for orphans in Uganda right now. We're trying to fence in 20 acres and then build a clinic and dormitories and dig a water well. put in some solar panels so they at least have a light bulb on the front porch. All those things require funding. Awaken your dreams. Get in touch with those things. And it's very important that we start here. Because when the hard work kicks in, if it's not motivated by something that you're passionate about, you'll shrink back. When the going gets tough, only with those with big dreams will keep going. So don't just skip over this and say, well, I'm not going to do the pie in the sky. I'll do the nitty gritty when we get there. No, this is part of it. Very, very important that you participate at this level. And again, I'm acknowledging that it's hard. So kind of rip off those layers of realism. Well, I can't pay my cable bill this month, so how can I think about possibly doing X, Y, Z? Well, think about it, because this process will help you pay that cable bill and beyond. This is part of the process. Number two, assess the situation, and here, be realistic. And this is where I want you to consider the situation that you're in. And it could simply be your marketing budget. You know, how much funding do you have right now to invest in your business? I want you to be realistic about that. I can only invest $100 a month, or I don't really even have $100, or maybe it's $500. Think about your budget. Think about your time limitations. Well, I thought I was going to do this full time, but then my mama got sick. I've been caring for her. You know, I had to take in my cousin's 3 kids. Think about your time limitations. Be realistic. How much time do you have to invest in this business? Think about that. Think about other limitations that you might have. Maybe it's your knowledge. Maybe you're new. Maybe there's some developmental issues that need to be noted here. I need to master sky slope, because just the fear of getting a transaction and having to put it in a sky slope is causing me not to go out and aggressively get transactions. Okay? This is real. This stuff happens, right? I don't feel like I have the knowledge and confidence to talk with people about real estate, so I don't talk with people about real estate, and therefore I never grow in knowledge and confidence. Okay? Think about anything holding you back. What is it? Is it maybe you need new friends? Maybe you need to win the support of your spouse. Notice I didn't say go get a new spouse, right? That's the first test. A lot of us who enter into an entrepreneurial type career, a sales career, real estate sales, we are married to spouses who are very conservative. That's just God's sense of humor. They're used to W-2 paychecks. They're used to your employer paying you, not you paying your employer. They're used to you buying a refrigerator for them, not for complete strangers. You know, it's a different kind of business. So the first test, honestly, of whether or not you have what it takes to make it in this business is, can you sell your spouse? Think about that. Can you paint the picture? Can you cast the vision? Can you show them the plan? Rather than blaming your spouse for, well, they're holding me back, they don't get it, they don't believe. No, you need to rise up to that challenge and say, I'm going to sell my spouse. If I can sell him, if I can sell her, then I can sell anybody. So take that as your first challenge if that's what you're facing. So assess the situation, be realistic. We're in a market downturn, there's fewer transactions. Get all those factors in there. Anything that might hold you back, anything that you feel like is keeping you down right now. Okay, this is the realistic part. We awakened the dreams. Now we're back down on terra firma, on the earth. Now, number 3. I want you to adjust your plans accordingly. An adjustment does not mean crossing off your dreams or putting those back to bed. It means addressing the limitations, the restrictions, the challenges that are in front of you right now. So for example, if one of your limitations was my marketing budget, I've only got $100 a month to invest, and I know that the big agents, they spend $1,000 a month or $5,000. I've heard of agents that spend $50,000 a month on Zillow leads. What am I going to do with a mere $100? Well, that's the question you need to address. What are you going to do? Perhaps you need to identify sources and strategies for extracting business that don't require a marketing budget. As far as I know, they still don't charge you to knock on doors. And if you've counted your cell phone in your current budget, that doesn't have to come out of your marketing budget. You can call people all day. Most of you, even if you lack financial resources, you have a Facebook account. You can message people, develop relationships that way. If you can't take people to lunch, meet them for coffee. If you can't afford Starbucks, meet them at the office. I'll buy the coffee. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying ignore your limitations and your restrictions. Let's be honest about it. Let's be real about it. But then let's find a way through. And there is always a way through. If you're committed, if the dreams that you wrote down are important enough to you, you will find a way through. For some of you, that may mean I need to join a team. And maybe I need to give up more of my commission on each deal, but have deals start coming in on a regular basis. I'll make some money, and I'll get the knowledge and the confidence that comes with experience. And then in a couple years, I'll be ready to spread my wings and fly on my own. I'm not suggesting that as a specific course of action. I'm saying that's how you need to be thinking about this problem. Whatever limitations or restrictions you're facing, there is a way through. And if you just hit up against a wall and you can't figure it out, then talk to some other people. Some of the people in this room. Say, hey, could I buy you a cup of Frank's coffee? And just bend your ear for a few minutes. Let me share with you what I'm banging up against. I can't seem to get through it. Because none of us have all the knowledge. None of us have all the solutions. But together, the mastermind takes effect, and we can help each other through. Number 4, announce your commitments publicly. I am a big believer in public accountability. Private accountability is good too. But if you're really committed to something, put it out there. Put it out there. Sometimes it won't show up on your original timetable. But if those commitments are the key to funding those dreams, then you can't give up on them. One of the things that you adjust is the timetable. Another might be the strategy. Another might be your support team. But the commitments should be unwavering. Put them out there. So you can announce to the world, I'm going to sell 100 houses this year. Okay, I'm going to sell 20 houses this year. I'm going to sell 3 houses a month this year. And if you don't do it this year, how do you respond to that? Do it next year. Hey, everybody, I announced a year ago I was going to sell 3 houses a month this year. I'm happy to report I sold 2 a month. I didn't make my goal, but that's 2 a month more than I sold the year before. So I'm on the way, and I'm putting my marker down again. I'm selling 3 houses a month this year. How many of you all need to buy, sell, lease, or invest in real estate? I'm here to help you. And I got 24 transactions under my belt that I didn't have a year ago. I've already practiced on the others. Let me use my experience on you. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Put those commitments out there. Share with your spouse. Share with your family. Share with your friends. Put it on Facebook. I did it again this morning. I do this all the time. I talk about my goals, my millennial mandate. Anybody know what that is? I am committed to having 1,000 agents at the Aspire group at eXp Realty, growing our team to 1,000 agents and closing 1,000 loans every year at Jackson Henry Mortgage. That's my millennial mandate. 1,000 agents, 1,000 mortgage closings. Am I close on either one? No way. They're not even the near hills, they're the distant mountains. But I can see the mountains. And that's where I'm going. If I was really a mountain climber, I would want to climb Denali, the highest mountain in North America, or maybe even Everest, the highest mountain in the world. Set your sights high. You know what they say, aim for the moon. If you don't make it, you'll fall among the stars. By the way, that's always confused me because the moon is actually closer than the stars, isn't it? So, but yeah, I'm glad. Okay, I had to put that out there because I know some of y'all are thinking, Frank, your astronomy's off a little bit. But that's the saying, right? Shoot for the moon, fall among the stars. So go out there, put it out there, commit publicly. If nothing else, shame will drive you. Like, oh, I told him I'm going to do it. I got to do it. And sometimes we're human beings, right? Sometimes that's what it takes. I don't want them to think I don't mean what I say. I'm going to have to work harder. I have to turn TV off. I'm going to have to get up earlier. I'm going to have to stay later. I'm going to have to do what it takes. I'm going to have to learn new skills, take another class. Number 5, attract the right team around you, the right people around you. Sometimes this requires that you be visionary, that you've already awakened your dreams. You've publicly said what you're going to do. You're going to need the help of other people to get there. Sometimes that's a mortgage lender. Sometimes that's a title partner. Sometimes that's a great inspector. Sometimes it's a landscaper. Sometimes it's a mastermind group of other agents that you gather around you. Sometimes it's a coach. Every one of us should have a team. We should have our team of indispensable people in our business. In my business plan, I actually have a list, and I call it on the first page of my business plan, the 10 most important people in my business. The 10 most important people who are going to help me move in the direction of my goals. Now, they don't even know they're on my list, right? They don't know that I consider them, my inner circle, my inner team, but those are the people that I go to. When I need help, when I need advice, when I need counsel, when I need a favor, these are the 10 people that I go to. As a real estate sales professional, you need that list. And sometimes you're a small fish and you're calling on a whale to help you. That's where your vision comes in. Don't look at me for where I'm at. Look at me for where I'm going. I guarantee you 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if you don't partner with me now, you're going to wish then that you had. Sell the vision. Communicate that you're going places and that you're looking to partner with the right people. If I had time, I would talk about what other people have done for me in my career. The doors that they have opened, the opportunities that they've given me, but it's because nobody has ever rescued me. Like, the white-hatted cowboy coming over the hills to write me a check for $1 million. That's never happened. But I've proactively identified the people who can move me forward in my business, and I have made them partners with me. Does that make sense? Don't expect others to come to you. They don't even know what you need. You proactively reach out to them. Identify the people who are already at where you want to be. Create a mastermind group. That's what I did when I was a new agent. That's what accelerated my sales success so quickly. I surrounded myself with people better than I. And then I had my preferred lender, title officer, landscaper, handyman. I had all these people on speed dial so that when I needed something done fast, when I needed priority attention, when I needed to go to the front of the line in order to make this closing or get the deal done, even if they had to do it at a loss, even if there was no money in the deal and I was tired of buying refrigerators out of my own pocket, I could go to them and I know that they would contribute financially to the transaction. That's what you need. That's what I mean when I say attract the right team, people who are entrepreneurial minded and aggressive like you. And then 6, ask for help. Be humble. Admit that you don't know everything, that you don't have all the right skills, and go to people. When we started Abbey Realty, I didn't have the money to buy this building or to buy that lot. So I put the word out among our agents and our vendor partners, hey, I need to raise, well, initially $200,000, 20% down on this property. Oh, I need to raise another $100,000, 20% down on what is now our parking lot. You know, and I could have said to myself, oh, then they'll know that I'm not rich. Well, I had a choice, right? I could be poor and broke, or I could be humble and ask. I asked, and people wrote checks, and people invested. And you see the results that we're enjoying right now. So when you need help, ask. Find the people who have the resources, the knowledge, the skills, the experience, the connections, people who can open doors for you. You may know people, you may know HR directors at large companies. Have you knocked on their door and said, hey, I would like to be your local real estate connection for families moving into this area? Have you asked? People are not just going to figure it out and come to you. Anybody who holds the key to additional real estate transactions in your world, and that would be HR directors, it could be attorneys who work with families in crisis, who know about divorces and marriages and people downsizing, upsizing, interior directors. Reach out to these people and say, I want to form a partnership. You know, go to these, I'm going to use you an example, the 55 plus communities. Go talk to the directors of those communities and say, okay, I'll move on. No, back when I was in that role, I lost a deal. It was my neighbor. I lived in a 55 plus community 2 doors down. And I'd been working with this neighbor for 2 years. We knew that she was moving. She was going to be going into assisted living. And I was the guy who brought my ladder over and changed her light bulbs when her garbage disposal was stuck. I mean, I was that guy in her and her husband's life. And he passed away, and it was clear that she was going to be going. She talked to me for 2 years about listing her home when the time came. I did not get that listing. You know why? Because she went to the assisted living facility and they said, hey, are you going to sell your house? Well, sure. Well, we have a real estate agent who will, first of all, dispose of all your furnishings and assets that you don't want to bring with you, and then they will move your goods for free to our facility. She signed up with them. By the way, what did that cost that agent? Almost nothing, right? To sell all the goods, they just connected them with their auction company that sold everything out. Didn't cost the agent anything. And then they paid, 3 guys, moving company, $500-600. How much does it cost to move into an assisted living facility, local? Not much. Not much. It's a 3 or 4 hour job, $150 an hour for 2 guys. You see what I'm saying? I had the relationship, but I lost because I had the relationship with the wrong person. I thought it was with the seller. In this case, it was with the assisted living facility. So all I'm saying is think carefully about who you know or what kind of business you're trying to build, and then go ask to be that person that they make the referrals to. And I want to say something else, and I realize that we are a company of all faiths and no faiths and all of that, but you all know who I am, so I'm just going to be real for a moment. Under ask for help, I would say pray. And ask for God to bless your efforts. Ask for favor on what you're doing. There is something, I used to call it transactions from heaven. These were things that I would be out working so hard to develop business and generate leads and serve and open doors. And sometimes I'd get results and sometimes not. And then all of a sudden, boom, something would drop on my head that I had done nothing to get that. Somebody did call out of the blue, or a neighbor that I knew was going to live there for years. They had a cousin and they connected. Just stuff that I couldn't have done anything to generate would just come my way. So those are my transactions from heaven. And I would say pray and ask. There's a scripture that says we have not because we ask not. So while you're asking people for help, I would encourage you, ask God for help. His favor can do things that go way beyond anything that you can imagine in your own mind. And then lastly, number 7, this is the sometimes where the breakdown occurs. You have to act every day in accordance with your plans. Be consistent. Once you've made your adjustments, taking into account your dreams and your limitations, you've built your team, you're ready to go, you've got to actually go. And many people break down at this point. This is where they don't send out the postcards. They don't make the phone calls. They don't build the database. They don't go meet with the assisted living managers. They thought, what a great idea when they heard it in class, but they never actually did it. They didn't post the KV Core property boost on their own geo farm to generate the first 15 or 20 buyers interested in the neighborhood that then could leverage into a postcard campaign that would generate 4 or 5 listing appointments in their own neighborhood. This is where the breakdown occurs, failure to take action. And I'm sure you've heard conference and seminar speakers say this all the time. I'm sharing my best secrets with all 500 of you here today, but don't worry about the other 499. They're not going to do anything, right? They're just here for the entertainment of the learning process. They like the adrenaline rush when they hear about other people who've been very successful, but they're not willing to pay the price. Well, don't be the 499, be the one. Be the one that says, I'm going to get up every day, I'm going to put my big boy pants on, my big girl pants on, and I'm going to go to work like a professional. And if you're distracted by dogs and kids and dirty laundry, come up here. There's always room for people here to find a conference room or a chair outside or an empty desk in the training room and get completely laser focused on your business. Okay? That's one of the ways you can take advantage of this incredible space that we have. So that's kind of the overview. That's the big picture. So we're going to pause here for just a moment before we kind of put pencil to paper. Any questions, feedback, objections about that? The 7-step process for resetting your business. Anybody had experience with any of these 7 steps before? All of them.
I think that number 7 is really important because I think that's where a lot of agents fail. I think that we get up and we want to get after it, and then, like you said, we get distracted by laundry or Facebook or something, and then we just don't follow through. If you get up and just focus yourself on what you need to do in the morning and then plan your day, and say, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time. You know, Michael taught me a long time ago, if I set my calendar to what I want to do, then I will get it done.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes a difference.
So that's a good point Carol's making. I would encourage you to live by your calendar and time block for those things that are important to you. So if you do need to door knock your neighborhood, put it on the calendar, block out 4 hours on a Saturday morning. And then when your spouse or somebody says, hey, you want to go fishing on Saturday, say, love to, but I'm already booked. I'm so sorry. Okay? You already booked? Yes, Kevin?
You know, I like to think that EXP stands for exponential.
Yes.
But I think EXP and exponential also stands for the amount of distractions that will come at you as a new agent. And I just can't describe. So I need a program that's, just say no. And somebody says, hey, I got no. Maybe we could no. What if we no?
Yeah.
When we were newly married, one of the things that Di and I came up with, we got ripped off. We didn't have any money, and then we got ripped off. And so our saying was, if it's free, we can't afford it. And so people would be pitching stuff to us, and we say, oh, no, sorry. If it's free, we can't afford it, because we knew it was going to suck either our time or money or both.
Yes.
And I have not done the best job at this because this, whether we call it shiny object syndrome or whatever, it really gets in the way of that step 7 and whatnot. So just say no for me.
So for those of you who are fanning, I see you. I'm going to adjust the temp.
Oh, that's feedback. Oh, look at that.
That's right. We aim to please. Let's see here. Training room. Where are we at? says we're at 72 degrees. What would you like it to be, Tom?
Good word
Here, we'll go down a couple degrees here. I love it.
I have a flash.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
All right. So I do want to kind of put, the pedal to the metal here, or that's really not the expression. I want to get down to the nitty gritty. And so I've given you a couple pages I want you to fill out. And for those of you online, I'm just going to get your blank piece of paper and I'm going to read these to you. I want you to start with Show Me the Money with that worksheet. And this is part of the Awaken the Dreams, and it's also part of the nitty gritty. What are your limitations? It's both expansive and it's also very realistic. And I want you to, this one page takes all that into consideration. So the first line, just go ahead and put in your numbers. We're not going to ask you to share these. The amount of money that you need to contribute each month to cover your family's normal living expenses. How much is that? If you have a working spouse who pays for everything, then the amount would be zero. Okay? If it's a 50-50 deal, then what are your monthly expenses? Put half of it in there. Okay? If it's just you and the 3 kids and the 2 dogs, it's everything. What does it take to keep food on the table and keep the lights turned on? Put in that amount of money. Second, the amount of money you need to save each month for large purchases such as a vacation, a new car, Christmas gifts, your emergency fund, your medical deductibles. So what kind of savings do you need to set aside for these very real ongoing life events? And by the way, if you don't know, put in a number. Just make one up. You can always come back and adjust it. But you got to have something in there. Number 3, the amount of money you need to contribute each month to your IRA or other long-term savings account to fully fund a comfortable retirement. Or for those of you who are into real estate investing or something like that, how much money do you need to set aside each month for your investments? But put a number in there, because it's not just about food on the table today, it's about food on the table tomorrow and in your non-actively working years. And this is monthly figures. These are monthly figures. Keep that in mind. Next, the amount of money you wish to give each month to religious organizations or charitable causes. Is there something that lights you up, that you want to be part of, that you want to fund for other people? Put that amount in there. The monthly amount that you wish to give. So these are aspirational numbers. And it might be, well, I give $100, but I'd like to give 1,000, then put 1,000, because they're all possible. The amount of money you need to set aside each month to pay your taxes, because most of us are not W-2, and the IRS will come a-knocking. So how much do you need to set aside each month into your don't touch tax account? Dario? Yes. So what I would do is look at your tax return last year, look at the gross amount of money you earned, and then look at the bottom line amount of money you paid in federal taxes, and figure out the percentage. Divide the small number by the big number, and let's say that it comes out to 15%. Now you're going to look at your projected income for this coming year, and you want to set aside 15% of that, divide it by 12, and you'll have your monthly number. Most of us are probably in the 15 to 25% tax bracket, most of us. So if you don't know your number, put 20% of your anticipated gross income, and you're probably going to be close. Next line, the amount of money you need to budget each month for business expenses. This is for your real estate sales business. Professional fees, broker fees, marketing budget, miscellaneous expenses. If you don't know, put something in there. $500 a month, $1,000 a month. Put something. You can adjust it as needed. And then the last line, The amount of money you need to spend or save each month to fulfill your lifelong dreams and aspirations. These are the things that you want to do mostly for other people, or maybe you want to buy a second home down in Galveston for yourself. Whatever it is you want to do. Take big vacations, build a library somewhere, whatever it is. Hey, so I heard about recently somebody built a library, actually right down here in Spring, Texas. So this stuff happens. They built a library. That would be quite an endowment, wouldn't it? Okay, but put a monthly figure in there. What will that take? What do you need to be setting aside for that? Well, $100 a month do it. $1,000 a month. $5,000 a month. What would that take? Think back to your awaken your dreams portion. Okay. Now add all those up. That's the monthly total. Use the calculator on your phone. And then multiply by 12 for your annual total. That will be your financial requirement. Okay? When I say requirement, I don't mean that EXP is requiring that or that I am requiring that. What I mean is you are requiring that of your business. You're requiring that of yourself to produce that level of income because that's what's needed to pay your bills and fund your dreams. Okay? Still see a few people working the calculators. How many of y'all have your number? Let me just see if you have all the way the bottom line number. Okay, a few of us. How do you feel about that number? Don't tell me the number, but just tell me what's your emotional reaction to that number?
Big number.
Big number. A wake-up call. These responses indicate that you're actually doing it right. This should not be a modest number. This should not be equal to the income that you made last year. This should be a scary number. It should be a wake-up call. It should be, oh my goodness, what have I been doing with myself? Right? I've been telling myself that certain things are important to me, but I've not been acting like that. I'm not fooling my family. I'm not fooling my friends, but I have been fooling myself about what's important to me because I say these things are important, but I'm not doing what's necessary to cause the funding to show up. Make sense? So it should be a reality check. Now, I want you to go to the second page. And again, if you're online, I'm going to walk you through this. You just get a blank piece of paper. So put your name and your date. This is called My Business Plan, My Personal Business Plan, at the top of the page. And then put your name, Halloween 2022, October 31st, 2022. Then put in your financial requirement. And if you're pulling over the number from the Show Me the Money, cross out that net income after taxes and expenses because we actually built that in. We added in our taxes and expenses. So that financial requirement is the big gross number, okay? The big scary number, the wake-up call number. Put that there, okay? Financial requirement. What we're going to do here is identify the key numbers in your business. You may have heard people say real estate is a numbers business. Anybody heard that expression? Anybody ever tell you what the numbers were?
Yeah.
These are the numbers, okay? Your financial requirement, total commissions needed, that's the same number. I use this document for a couple different purposes. Total financial requirement is the same as total commission. Now, write down your average sale price on the real estate that you sell. Is it typically $250? Is it $400? Is it $700? Is it $1 million? Is it $175? And if you're new enough that you don't have experience, put down the current value of your own home because you're most likely going to be selling to people like you. Okay.
I thought you were going to say you're most likely to sell your own home.
Yeah, well, when you're desperate, if you don't act on what I'm sharing, you might end up selling your own home. So put that, no, I'm just kidding. Average sale price. Now, your average commission rate, write that on the next line. We typically think we get 3%, but that's not always. We don't always get 3%. We may be doing both the buy and the sale for a customer. We give them a break on one side. We might be working with an investor doing 10 deals, give them a break. We might be in a competitive situation. We're like, doggone it, I got to get this deal, even if I got to, take a reduction on it. So what is your average? If you don't know, write down 2.5%. That's a fairly common average. The next line I want you to write down is your average commission. This is the dollar amount. And this is a math problem. You simply multiply your average commission rate times your average sale price. That will give you the amount of money that you typically make on closing. Everybody following so far? These are the numbers in your real estate business. These are the key metrics. Now, finally, the transaction benchmark. This is the most important number. What I want you to do is take the financial requirement, the big number at the top, and divide it by your average commission. Take the big number, divide it by the average commission. And what that's going to tell you is the number of transactions that you must close in order to fully fund your financial requirement. Okay? That is, by the way, the most important number in your business. Knowing your transaction benchmark. I like to say if your spouse pinched you in the middle of the night and you jumped up, that's the number you should be shouting. 37, 22. It should be so much a part of your consciousness, your subconsciousness, your unconsciousness, that even when you're not thinking about it, something in the back of your brain is saying to you constantly, is what you're doing right now driving you towards 37 transactions? And it will help to keep you focused. By the way, I said we wouldn't share our financial numbers. Would anybody be willing to share their transaction benchmark? Yes, sir?
Mine will, since mine is pretty simple, I don't have any other responsibilities like home and all that.
Yes.
I was surprised I'll share my financial return.
Of course, go ahead.
Mine was within 91,000.
Yes.
For all costs and what I felt like.
Taxes, everything.
And I put average home price 250.
Yes.
One of my home is around 3%. What I've been working with.
Okay.
And average commission was at 7,500.
Yep.
And for that, within 12 months.
Yes. Geez, that works out smoothly, doesn't it? One a month. Transaction benchmark of 12. So now, Dario, every morning you should wake up. Where am I going to get my one this month? Where am I going to get? Now, you're not creating the answer. The answer's already been decided. But you're saying, I've got to move toward, I got to get my one. Right? I don't have to get 3 this month. I don't even have to get 2. But doggone it, I got to get 1. What am I going to do today to get my 1? Am I on track to get my 1? Do I already have my 1 in pending? So I can work on next month's 1. Or is it week 3 and I don't even have anything under contract for this month? What am I going to do to get 2 next month? Because 12 has got to show up at the end of the year. And if I drop the ball once a month, 1 month, I gotta double down, right? Because nothing on this list of $91,000 is optional, right? I got to put gas in the tank, right? I've got to pay my bills. I've got to pay my taxes, and all of that adds up to it. Anybody else transaction benchmark number? 5? Selling a big price point, aren't you? That's right. Got the husband with the cushy job, paying the bills.
Mine's 23.
23. 5, 23, 12. Love it. Yes, ma'am. 9, 0. 1, 9. 19. Okay, so about 1.5 a month. Very nice. Anybody else? 27. 11. I think 27 is the biggest number we've heard, isn't it? 28? You got a 24? So 28. So let's take the big number in the room. Is Kathy being unrealistic? Right, pie in the sky. Has anybody ever sold 28 houses in 1 year before?
Yes.
Yes. You've sold 28 in a year? Anybody else sold 28 in a year? Well, Carol's done it. She's going to do 5.
5 a month.
We all thought you were saying 5 a year.
Oh, no, sorry, I thought you said monthly.
Your transaction benchmark is an annual number. Okay, the bar's been raised. Michael can retire. Carol's going for 60. Now have we gone into the realm of the unrealistic? 5 a month. Has it been done before?
Yes.
Oh, see, now Michael comes back. See.
Peter, you retire.
Yeah.
Retirement.
Just to say, Carol's going to be very busy the next 12 months. It's all going to be good. I remember when I was selling at a high level, and I was always worried about my wife, neglecting my wife, taking time away. When the paychecks started coming in, I'd zoom by the house. She'd give me a cup of coffee and say, "Go get them."
Meet you at the driveway.
I'll meet you at the driveway. Don't even slow down. Just keep selling. Keep selling. No, your spouse will love it when those checks start coming. So the point is, what I'm trying to make is, none of these numbers are unrealistic. Most of you are in the realm of 1 to 2 transactions a month. In my experience, you can close 3 transactions a month without any outside assistance. Just by yourself, with your own efforts, you can close 3 a month consistently. Now, when you go beyond that, you're either going to need to be super efficient or you're going to need help. You're going to need a buyer's agent, you're going to need a transaction coordinator, even if it's just outsourced. You hire a transaction coordinator to do all the paperwork and that kind of stuff to get from 3 to 4 to 5. But other than Carol, everybody can pretty much do this on their own. So there's no holding you back. You don't have to worry about hiring anybody or finding a contractor. Now I want you to do one more exercise to kind of finish off this activity. I want you to take your transaction benchmark and I want you to identify where those transactions are going to come from. So you're 19 or 28 or what? Are they coming from your geo farm, your demographic farm, your open houses, your online leads, your sphere of influence, or somewhere else? Just put your transactions in there that will add up to your benchmark. So if your number was 25, you might say 5 from GeoFarm, 5 demo, 10 from open house, and another 5 from sphere of influence. Just make sure they add up to your benchmark. And if you're really good at math, you can multiply your transactions by your average commission and put the commissions that you'll make from each source in the right-hand column. So if I make $5,000 per deal and I'm going to do 5 deals, I'm going to make $25,000 from that source of business. Okay? By the way, does anybody have a source of business that's not on this list that is a significant source for you? Does that pretty much cover it? Where do leads come from? About 98% will come from the sources identified on the page. But every once in a while, somebody will stumble into something. You know, an assisted living manager, for example, that kind of thing, or a divorce attorney who becomes a significant source of business. But when that happens, you turn it into a demo farm. You start getting deals from one divorce attorney. What should you start doing? Farming divorce attorneys. And now you have a demographic farm. You might end up with 5 or 6 divorce attorneys that send you all their business. Okay? Everybody got that? This is the easy math. Good to see you, Cy. I'm going to eat your pizza. Hopefully that pizza is going to show up in about 15 minutes. Talk to me about what discoveries that you have made about your business in the last few minutes. What has this exercise forced you to confront or discover that you didn't know previously?
Certainly need to do things differently because I'm not generating these results right now.
Well, there you go. That's a good sign right there. Yeah. If what I'm doing is not working, I need to do something different. Tom, I used to start every year with a business plan, which I would develop about this time of year. Then I would have it blown up into a 24 by 36 poster. I would frame it and put it on the wall in my office. About 3 times during the year, I would have to pull that out and replace it with a new plan. Not entirely different, but it had been tweaked differently enough that the older one was now obsolete. So business plans are meant to be constantly evaluated. When I had the slide of the 7 steps on the screen, at the very bottom, there was a little phrase. It said, review and revise continuously. Some things that worked last year won't work this year. Some of the stuff that you think is going to work at the start of the year, not going to work. And when that happens, you want to pull the plug and move resources to what is working. Talk to me about the sources of business. What sources did you just put on your business plan that you're not currently working?
Online leads.
Online leads. There we go. There's an unlimited supply of them, and they're cheap. Anybody else? Geo. Okay. So do you live in a neighborhood now?
Yes.
Is that the neighborhood you plan to farm? How many homes are in that neighborhood? 175 is perfect. My first Geo farm had 175 homes. It was still under construction. It built out to about 220, but that's a great size. You can become a neighborhood icon in a neighborhood that size within the first year. It's perfect. Anybody else have a source of business that you've not been seeing results from or actively working previously?
Really have a demo farm that I'd like to try to start working on, particularly as I'm not planning on living in my neighborhood for a lot longer.
Okay, that's really a good analysis, because if you're planning to move out of your neighborhood, don't start farming it. A demo farm. So what groups are you identified with or affiliated with?
It's a pretty good one.
Astros fans? That's a big farm.
Ticket holder, there are quite a few of us.
Okay, great. And do you know each other? Do y'all sit together in the same part of the stadium?
Actually, one of my deals came from my road with the exact same 10 people every game that we have together.
Yes.
So we're the same 10 people every time. I got to sell one of their townhomes this summer.
That's perfect.
That's great.
So I would absolutely create that as a demo farm, is my season ticket holder fan base. But I would try to expand it beyond the 10. And it may be that you can go to your section, if you can just branch out a little bit. Or it may be that you need to create a Facebook page or a Facebook group. Is there such a thing for season ticket holders? Get active on that if you're not, and you can start building relationships with those people. And if you're not permitted to do it on the main feed because it has to be Astros only, then you can private message people. Okay? But that would be a great one. Anybody else have a demo farm now or have put demo farm on your plan? No? Nobody's affiliated with really any particular group of people? You're not part of an alumni association?
Yeah,
Or?
I still get clients from a lot of my demo firms from Camp Gladiator.
Yes.
I'm a former trainer there, but I also like would still work out with the clients, and so I have so many Facebook friends that I just kept up with from there, and they'll call me out of the blue. This was 4 years ago.
Yes.
So it was worth it for me to keep up with them.
Demo farms are extremely powerful because what unites you with those people are shared passions. Passion for baseball, passion for fitness. People feel like they've found their tribe when they find other people who care about the same things they do, and they want to be loyal to you. People want to work with people like them, and often the strongest ties are around your passions. Okay? Anybody else have a revelation about your sources of business? What about okay, let me ask you this. Are you getting the required number? Even if you've been working within a certain, let's say your sphere of influence, and maybe you have 7 or 8 transactions in there, but you've only been getting 1 or 2. Is that true of anybody? That you've been working it, but not getting the results that you want? So what learning lesson is there?
I think it's to continue doing it, but to maybe change up some things to get more. Don't stop.
Yep. If you're working in a proven source, and all of these are proven sources, this is where 98% of all real estate business comes from. So you know that sphere of influence is a legitimate source. Online leads is a legit source. A geofarm is a legit source, but you're not getting the required results, then what you need to do is tweak the strategy. What am I doing to extract the required number of transactions from the source? And I can just tell you, almost always, the breakdown is in too limited communication. I'm not sending the message frequently enough that I am a caring, competent real estate professional who is willing and able to help them with their real estate needs. And many times in these sources, we're just presuming our neighbors know I'm a real estate agent. Doggone it, I got a sign on my car. And it's not going to make them call us. Okay? I mean, at the family reunion, I wore my EXP shirt. So everybody in my family knows I'm a real estate agent. It doesn't mean they're going to work with you. That's right. Testimony. Okay? Almost always the breakdown will be that you're not consistently messaging them. Yes?
I want to share kind of like my story, but also someone else's story. We all know that it's fine. I also think it's important to have a realistic expectation of the time lag between your actions and your results, and to stay consistent even though you don't see them immediately. Because I feel like whenever I've been geofarming, I really have like a 6-month,
Yes.
action to result time frame, and so you can't just be like, well, I put the door hanger on there and they call me the next day. It's not good. You have to wait for your actions to bloom. And then, most of my mom, Cheryl, Becky, but Cheryl's husband, Frank, recently got licensed and they're doing team things.
Yes.
And she's having a hard, he's now learning firsthand that it takes a long time.
Yes.
And so people want to go like race home to check their QR codes. They can put out on doors like an hour prior to see who's signing up. And it's just like, he has to relax. So she's going to teaching him how to like, no, you continue doing this, and this is not now money, it's our future money.
Yes.
And it's worth doing that. So like, at all stages of what I was trying to say is that you have to know, have a reasonable expectation.
Yes.
And don't get discouraged. Keep going.
Yeah. So there's 2 questions, and this is going high level. I'm gonna ping off what you just said. This is higher level. But there will come a point where you need to be asking these questions about your strategies. If they're not working, or if they're not delivering the expected results, you need to ask 2 questions. Is the strategy wrong? Or 2, have I not given it enough time? And that's a very critical distinction, because it could simply be that you've not given it enough time, and if you go ahead and switch prematurely, then you will have wasted all those previous efforts, the energy, the resources, the money. So you have to ask that question, and you may not have the ability to answer it with your own experience. And this is where you ask for help. It's where you bring other people in and you share with them, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm getting. Do I just need to be more patient, or do I need to tweak my activities? Yes, Kevin?
I had a vision of this that looks like a wagon wheel for each of the spokes of these different modalities. And I'd start down one, and the sales are there in the center. And I'd get a little ways down, and I'd say, oh, wait, I want to try something else. And I'd go back to the outer rim, and same thing. And I'm just zigging, zagging.
Start over.
Driving one, like open houses, all the way down to the center, to the hub.
Yep.
That's the vision I have of that.
Yeah, we call it the shiny object syndrome, or the squirrel syndrome, where we were on the right track, but before we invested enough time to see results, we pulled up those seeds and went in a different direction. So sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's strategy. Okay? All right, I'm about done, but if you still have something stirring in your mind that you haven't asked or commented on, I'd like to hear about it. Do you have what it takes to be successful in this market? You should be nodding your head, because if you don't believe, you know the expression, don't you? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So if you need to work on the mental game first, do that. You've got to become highly convicted that you are a fantastic real estate agent. You can provide the highest level of service, and you're going to do whatever it takes to get the word out. This is the sales part. To let people know. This is working within our sources, letting people know of your competence as a real estate agent and your passion to help them with their real estate needs. So win the battle upstairs, and then get the word out, and you will thrive. In this next year, we don't know what's going to happen, by the way, with interest rates. We don't know what's going to happen with elections. We don't know what's going to happen with anything in the broader economy or the real estate economy. None of us has a crystal ball. But that does not mean that you cannot be in full control of your business. If you start with a plan, act on the plan, and then tweak the plan based upon the results that you're getting, you'll get there. It should not be optional for any one of us to fully fund the dreams that we're passionate about. And we're all fortunate enough to have landed in a business that will fund any dreams we can imagine. This business will do it. It's done it for others. It will do it for us. Let's get our head right, and let's get our feet right. Taking action, moving along that path. Okay. I don't see any pizza yet.
Our speakers here with no pizza. Should we bring them in?
Yeah, bring our Pizza Politics speakers in. We'll introduce them. By the way, let's take a 5-minute break, because I know I've had you here for an hour and a half. 5 minutes, come back, we'll hear them, and then we'll take a pizza break whenever it arrives. Those of you online, I'm going to stop the recording, but we welcome you to stick around for the Pizza and Politics segment.